Good morning, everyone. My name is Dia Fedia. Today, I will be presenting on a topic that lies at the heart of language education, becoming an effective EFL teacher, essential skills and professional competences. As English continues to function as global franca, EFL teachers are increasingly required to go beyond the transmissions of grammatical knowledge. They must become facilitators of communications, agents of inclusions, and mediators of cultural meaning. In these presentations, I will explore what makes an EFL teacher truly effective. Precisely, we're going to focus on an academic perspective on 21st century language pedagogy. I have organized these presentations into five parts. I'll begin with a brief introductions, followed by three core sections examined, namely linguistic proficiency, the foundational command of language expected of EFL teachers. Second, pedagogical and methodological competence, the professionals and theoretical grounding necessary for effective instructions. And third, interpersonal and intercultural competence, the human and ethical dimensions that shape teacher-learner relationship. I will conclude with the reflections on the holistic nature of EFL teaching and invite you to rethink your own teaching identity in light of these competences. First, linguistic proficiency remains it remains a fundamental pillar of effective EFL teaching. This extends beyond grammatical accuracy or lexical range. A highly competent teacher must demonstrate the pragmatic awareness, that is, knowing how to use language appropriately in different social and cultural contexts. They must also be attuned to nuances of registers, discourse markers, intonations, and cohesions. Importantly, as we can see here, as Thornbury 1997 argues that hallmark, hallmark of a skilled teacher is not just knowledge of a language, but language awareness, the ability to analyze, reflect on, and explain how language works both intuitively and explicitly. In today's classrooms, these means embracing world's Englishes and teaching as a lingua franca or ELF paradigm where English is seen not as the property of native speakers but a shared communicative tool shaped by diverse users worldwide. Second, we have pedagogical and methodological competence. Effective EFL teaching requires pedagogical competence, the ability to design, deliver, and assess learning in a way that is theoretically grounded and learner centered instead of teacher centered. This includes knowledge of evidence based methods such as task based language teaching or TBLT that we have learned during our bachelor's degree. This help promote real life communicative tasks, content, and language integrated learning CLIL, which supports language through subject content and formative assessment, which help monitor progress and adapt instructions. This pedagogy must also be informed by second language acquisitions theories. For example, Krashen's input the hypothesis emphasizes the importance of comprehensible input. Swain's output hypothesis it highlights the role of productions in language development and Vygotsky, sociocultural, and moreover, the interactions and scaffolding method, where teacher must emphasize on that part. Moreover, teacher today must develop digital pedagogical skills integrating multimedia, learning platforms, and interactive technologies to enhance language learning in both in-person and virtual context. We have interpersonal and intercultural competence coming next. This perhaps the most human-centered interpersonal and intercultural competence. The effective EFL teachers must build emotionally safe and inclusive spaces where students feel respected, seen, and motivated. This requires high emotional intelligence and ability to regulate one's own emotions, read those of learners, and respond empathetically to these of teaching learning methods and situations. In multicultural classrooms, teachers must practice cultural humility, acknowledging and valuing students' linguistic and cultural identities. This could be perhaps includes embracing translanguaging, validating code switching, and challenging the hegemony of native speaker norms. As Kanagara 2013 argues, Embracing translingual practices enable learners to draw from their full linguistic repertoire, promoting both agency and authenticity. Therefore, an effective teacher then is not merely a linguistic authority, but also a culturally responsive facilitator, deeply attuned to the social, emotional, and cultural lives and lives of learners. Let's consolidate the core ideas. As the table shown, becoming an effective EFL teacher entails balancing three interconnected domains. First, linguistic proficiency, second, pedagogical competence, and third, interpersonal, intercultural. None of these domains can stand alone, so therefore, effectiveness arises when all three are integrated in thoughtful, reflective practice. In conclusion, we must reframe the role of the EFL teacher not simply as a language expert, but as a multifaceted professional, one who merges linguistic command with pedagogical wisdom and intercultural sensitivity. As Ferrer 1970 reminds us, education is the practice of freedom. Teaching English, especially in multilingual, multicultural contexts, should empower learners to express themselves, engage critically with the world, and shape their own identities. Therefore, we must ask not only how we teach English, but to what end, to what extent. These are the references where I've used these presentations for. I highly recommend them for anyone wishing to deepen their understanding of language pedagogy as LA and intercultural teaching practice. Thank you very much for your time and attention. I will come to your questions and reflections. Thank you.